Over the decades, Batman has saved Gotham City from stuff like an army of baby-stealing penguins, an evil plan to stop global warming, big bombs, small bombs, jokers, smokers, midnight gropers, and brain-gasms? But that's just in the movies. The comics are packed with even more heroic deeds by pop culture's most beloved hobo-punching billionaire. There are hundreds of excellent Batman stories, but let's forget about those and talk about the bonkers, the embarrassing, the unbelievable bits of Bat canon that, honestly, we're kinda glad Thomas and Martha Wayne are too dead to see. We're talking Batman letting people burn alive so he can get laid, his nearly fatal weakness to kites, and the time DC let a Hollywood star write a story where the Dark Knight pees his pants. This is CanonBall. Most Batman comics center on how totally smart and badass and awesome he is, because that's his real superpower, making you feel bad about your crappy self. But every once in a while, the writers like to put Batman in some horribly undignified situation just to keep his ego in check, and remind him that he is, after all, a grown man who spends his nights in a Batman onesie. That's how we ended up with gloriously dumb Batman moments like number 5. Batman gets his ass handed to him by Kite-Man? Kite-Man is a Batman villain who seemingly exists just so people can say, "Did you know there's a Batman villain called Kite-Man?"
Are you making some of those up?
He shows up in the Harley Quinn animated show, but he's less of a character and more of a running joke.
Kite-Man. Hell yeah.
But the stupidest thing about Kite-Man isn't his name or the notion of a supervillain whose only weapons are kites. It's the fact that he actually kicked Batman's ass on his first try. In Batman number 133 from 1960, Kite-Man uses his special kites to steal a priceless ruby right in front of Batman and Robin. And then, instead of escaping, he swoops over and punches Batman in the face. That is, of course, scientifically implausible, as there's no way he could lift off the ground with balls that enormous.
Holy.
Later, Batman catches up to Kite-Man while he's breaking some criminals out of prison with his giant kite ship. But decades of intense martial arts training are no match for a well-placed kite to the face.
Why would Kite-Man attack Batman with a cheap piece of polyester when there's a gun right there?
You may ask. And the answer is, because he can. Such is his mastery over kites. The writer of this comic couldn't have been making any other point. And so, poor Bruce finds himself captured by Kite-Man, who plans to, and I quote,
"Tie Batman to a large kite so everyone can take pot shots at him."
Batman realizes that the only way to avoid a human piñata death is to fight fire with fire. Casting aside his vow to never brandish a deadly weapon, Batman fashions himself a kite out of the torn off wallpaper of his cell, and one of his socks. Because, as the ancient proverb says, to conquer kite, you must become kite. Batman uses his kite as an improvised bat signal and calls for Robin's help, which is somehow the saddest part of this story. Eventually, Batman and Robin are able to end Kite-Man's reign of terror, but only by turning his own technology against him. In the end, Kite-Man turned out to be one of the most formidable enemies Batman ever faced. The only reason they've turned him into a joke is because, if allowed to operate at full potential, he makes Batman look like a freaking amateur. The only thing that'd make it more embarrassing is if Kite-Man had caused Batman to, I don't know, pee his pants? Number 4, Kevin Smith made Batman pee his pants. Seriously, one of the coolest scenes in 1987's Batman Year One, and Batman comics in general, and all comics in general, is when Batman introduces himself to Gotham City's corrupt 1% by crashing one of their fancy dinner parties and dropping a speech about how, no, they can't have dessert. Now that Batman is here, criminals will need masks or clown makeup if they want to do crimes in Gotham. Sorry, the Year One animated movie wisely left the scene pretty much as it is, because it's impossible to improve.
None of you are safe.
However, it's very possible to make it worse, as renowned director and less known comic book writer Kevin Smith proved in his 2009-2010 miniseries Batman: The Widening Gyre. Smith apparently looked at that classic Year One scene and said, "You know what this needs? More pee!" Sadly, he didn't make it so Batman puts out that burning plate by whipping out his bat hog and taking a leak, which actually would have been kind of badass. In Smith's comic, Batman meets a new vigilante called Baphomet and starts training him to become Gotham City's next exceedingly pointy-eared protector. While trying to reassure Baphomet that it takes time to get better at superheroing, Batman reveals that he misjudged the size of the explosion during that Year One scene and had a bladder spasm, which is a fantastic villain name, but also a real condition. According to WebMD, it occurs when the bladder muscle squeezes suddenly without warning, causing an urgent need to release urine. Yep, Kevin Smith retroactively established that Batman moistened his drawers during one of his proudest moments, because there's nothing DC Comics won't let you add to the canon if you're a celebrity nerd.
Holy ego!
In general, Smith seems way more fixated on Batman's bodily fluids than the average DC writer. Multiple pages are devoted to Bruce Wayne having sex with his girlfriend and talking about how many orgasms he gave her, somewhere between 10 and 99 if you were wondering. Batman may never go down on women, but he's so good at missionary, he can't have sex on the beach without waking up Aquaman. Seriously, that's in the comic. He once made a woman yelp so sensuously that it freaked out the nearby dolphins, who went and tattled to Aquaman. On some level, we all suspected that Kevin Smith writes erotic Batman fan fiction, but it's still shocking that this was published in an actual DC comic and not at fanfiction.net/SilentBob_6969. SilentBob420 was taken. So shame on Kevin Smith for soiling the work of legendary Batman writer Frank Miller. Only legendary Batman writer Frank Miller gets to do that. Like when? Number 3, Batman has sex with another superhero while criminals burn alive. In 2005, Frank Miller made his triumphant return to the world of Batman with All-Star Batman and Robin, best known as that comic where one of the most famous superheroes in the world kidnaps a recently orphaned child and tells him,
"What are you, dense? Are you or something? Who the hell do you think I am? I'm the damn Batman!"
I wonder what Adam West would think of that characterization.
Naughty, mean person.
Really? Didn't care for it.
And I think that Spider-Man, Spidey Baby, would probably object too.
Huh. Good to know. But that's not even the most objectionable scene in All-Star Batman and Robin, or ASBAR for short. Issue 7 starts with Batman laughing maniacally as he swoops down on a bunch of armed thugs, stealing a shipment of bleach for some reason. Apparently, Gotham City has serious issues with spilling wine. Next, our hero grabs a bottle of flammable bleach, combines it with some thermite he carries in his utility belt for this very purpose, and flings it at the thieves, who must have been having a bleach super soaker war because all of them instantly catch fire.
Holy spontaneous combustion!
At this point, Batman's fellow Justice Leaguer, the Black Canary, stops by and looks on as Batman needlessly kicks an already incapacitated criminal's burning face into the asphalt. Instead of stopping him, she comments on how horny all this is making her. So this is the part where Batman and Canary put out the fire and tie up the criminals for the authorities, right? Nope. Instead, they lie down on the wet cement and start humping each other's bones, right in front of the heap of burning flesh that was once a gang of bleach thieves.
But please don't ask me to remove my mask.
After a 3-panel avian mammalian doink fest, Batman is gentlemanly enough to offer Black Canary a ride home, but she has the audacity to make fun of him for calling his car the Batmobile. He immediately shuts her down because,
I'm the damn Batman, and I call my damn car whatever the hell I want to call it.
which is true, technically, but still a damn ridiculous thing for a damn adult person to say. Damn. So sure, Batman kidnaps an orphan and forces him to eat rats, and paints himself, Robin, and an entire house yellow just to mess with Green Lantern. But at least DC never used him as a platform to espouse wacky conspiracy theories. Right? Number 2, Batman becomes a Hollow Earth truther. The words Batman Odyssey might bring to mind images of Bruce Wayne stomping on Koopas in a plumber suit, while joyfully exclaiming, Yahoo! But no, the truth is even more unhinged. That's the name of a miniseries released between 2010 and 2011 that mostly consists of Batman recapping a bunch of confusing and weird-ass anecdotes from his past, like the fictional equivalent of a friend who gets really high and won't shut up. Also, for some reason, every chapter starts with a usually shirtless Bruce Wayne looking directly at the reader and giving you his best post-bird sex eyes. As the story progresses, Batman discovers that all the villains in Gotham City are distracting him to hide a literally earth-shaking truth, that our planet is hollow and there are dinosaurs and cavemen living under us.
Truly journey to the center of the earth.
The underworld even has its own dynamic duo, a caveman named Jamroth Bach, who dresses like Purple Batman, and a kid evolved from dinosaurs who decided to copy Robin's outfit voluntarily. Incidentally, if you ever wanted to see the real Robin punch a pterodactyl, this comic was made for you, and only you. You freak. Now, this might seem like your standard comic book nonsense to you, but the craziest part is that the comic's creator believes that at least part of this nonsense is true. Batman Odyssey is the brainchild of Neil Adams, one of the most important artists in the history of comics, and also a writer, technically. Adams truly believes that the Earth is expanding, leaving hollow spaces at the center. You can learn about all of this and more by visiting his highly informative YouTube channel.
We're now going forward in time to show how the actual growth of the Earth took place.
Just be prepared to get a reply in all caps if you ever dare to leave a comment.
Sounds kind of cookie to me.
Anyway, during his underground adventures, Batman meets aliens, befriends a wizard who talks like Bill and Ted, fights killer gnomes, and gains Superman-like powers for a while. Because Adams apparently forgot he was writing a Batman comic and not just every single idea he's ever had.
Imperfect as to details, but the overall is nailed.
In the end, we find out that Batman was telling all of this to Clark Kent, who I'm guessing wrote only one word in his notebook: intervention. Actually, this comic makes a lot more sense if it's just a story about the time Batman discovered cocaine. That would explain moments like him pulling double guns on innocent commuters, or when he yells, "I love it," while mounting a T-Rex, or this face. Speaking of mounting a T-Rex, number 1, DC shows us Batman's dong, then pretends they didn't mean to. For this one, we have to go all the way back to 2018, when DC Comics presented a new imprint called DC Black Label that specializes in mature stories, starring their biggest heroes. And what's the most efficient way to let readers know that the story they're about to read is absolutely throbbing with maturity? By using the old literary technique called showing Batman's dick.
Call me Nightwing.
Okay, my mistake. Batman's other dick. Yeah, that's the one.
Holy indecent exposure.
In Batman Damned number 1, we find out that Batman occasionally likes to walk around the Batcave with his Batarang out, which is fine because it's his house and all. Hell, I'm not even wearing pants. The ridiculous part was DC's reaction to Batwang Gate. At the tiniest hint of controversy, DC censored the comic's digital version and promised that all future reprints would show an empty space where Batman's dingus should be.
Holy shrinkage.
Yep, they comically castrated The Dark Knight. I guess that other extremely dumb controversy about how Batman doesn't give oral sex is less surprising when you consider there's no way for the other party to reciprocate. DC also claimed that they never even intended to flash us with the Bat dongle. They said it was a simple production error, which has to be the least credible excuse for a dick pic since,
Oh no, I meant to send that to ZocDoc!
according to DC's higher-ups, the whole thing also made them rethink the entire Black Label line. So, if you were hoping to see Wonder Woman's areolas or Aquaman's blowhole in a future Black Label comic, you can go ahead and cancel those pre-orders. Sorry. You know what? Here's some gratuitous dick pics as consolation. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of CanonBall. If we missed any bonkers Batman stories, jump in the comments and let us know. Oh, and make sure to send us some of your favorite dick pics.
No, we can't just